Greetings, Earthlings. I'm Justin from the bands Hungry Lights and Call It Ego and Tallah. And today we're going to talk about a very controversial topic in the metal world these days, or just in the music world in general, and it's called backing tracks. And let me just throw a disclaimer. I'm not trying to start a witch hunt. I'm not trying to shame any bands that use backing tracks. I'm not trying to dissuade bands from using backing tracks. I'm not trying to call anyone out, and I'm not trying to take a crap on your favorite bands. I, as an artist and as a fan, just want people to understand what is happening in the music industry. When the general public decides to purchase a ticket to see their favorite artists, I just want them to know that what they're seeing on stage might not necessarily be what they're hearing. And a lot of people don't care about that. They just go because they like the music. They just go because they want to drink and have a good time and mosh and whatever. That's fine. Not everyone views music the same. But as a vocalist and as a musician, I like to know that when I go see my favorite band, that the guitar solo that I'm seeing is real, that the vocals that I'm hearing are real. That's why I like metal music, because it was always so organic, but now it's not. And I just want to equalize things. I want the general public to know what I know. That way, when they decide to purchase a ticket, they're not fooled. They're not deceived. So to avoid confusion, let's make sure we're all on the same page here, and let's talk about what a backing track is. Let's define a backing track. A backing track is when you have a band or a solo artist who is performing live, and there is some pre-recorded element being played over the PA system, whether it's guitar leads or harmony vocals or orchestral elements, electronic elements. It's something that no one on the stage is currently playing it or doing it. It's pre-recorded. It's in the background. It's already touched up and perfected. It's not live. Real quick, let's talk about the difference between lip syncing, backtracking, and actually doing it live, because I want you to be able to see and hear the difference. Alright, so I'm literally just gonna mute my mic and lip sync. Don't you say it! You don't have to restrain! What's the point if I'm not good enough when I'm not holding back? I'll never ever be the best. I'm talking out the tired of the times you promise something. Tells me things will change. I know this. I can't step up, doesn't like to swing this. I know that my best will prove you all wrong, or show you I'm not worthless after all. So that's lip syncing. You're not hearing my voice at all. You're hearing a perfected, pre-recorded track, and I'm just pretending. Now, I'm going to backtrack my vocals, which means while I am performing it live, there's also a flawless, pre-recorded vocal track playing in the background. When a band chooses to use a backing track, they get to decide how loud that backing track sits in the live mix. Well, their sound guy gets to make that choice, but usually he's working for the band and he's going to do what they ask. But some bands, they're mostly live. So like the vocalist is doing it for real, but there is a vocal backing track there. It's just more of like a layer. So it's like a cushion or like a crutch or like a safety net where it's there, but you're mostly hearing him or her. Other people, they will crank the backing track up and they will turn the live mics way, way, way down during the song. So you are hearing the perfect pre-recorded track and they're really, really quiet under it, and you most likely cannot hear them. And then at the end of the song, the sound guy will turn them back up so that they can talk to the crowd and further fool you into thinking that was really them. So I'm going to give you two different examples so you can kind of get an idea of what the soft backing track sounds like compared to the very loud backing track. So now the mic is live, but there's also pre-recorded vocals in the background and you're hearing both. Don't you say it! You don't have restraint! What's the point if I'm not good enough when I'm I'm not holding back. I'll never, ever be the best. I'm choking on the dirt of all the times you brought me something. Tells me things will change. I know this. I can simple doesn't like to swing. Yes, I know that my best will prove you all wrong, or show you I'm not worthless after all. So now the live mic is very quiet and the pre-recorded backing track is very loud. Don't you see it? You don't have restraint. What's the point if I'm not good enough when I'm not holding back? I'll never, ever be the best. I'm choking on the dirt of all the times you brought me something. Tells me things will change. I know this. I can simple doesn't like to swing. Yes, I know that my best will prove you all wrong, or show you I'm not worthless after all. Now for comparison, I'm going to live mic it. And what that means is that I'm going to hit play on the instrumental version of the song. There's no pre-recorded vocals. I'm going to do them live into this microphone. For all you gearheads out there, this is a Shure Beta 58A. It's like a slightly better SM58. I don't know. I like it. Hopefully, I don't forget the words. Don't you see it? You don't have restraint. What's the point if I'm not good enough when I'm not holding back? I'll never, never be the best. I'm choking on the dirt of all the times you brought me something. Tells me things will change. I know this. I can simple doesn't like to swing. Yes, I know that my best will prove you all wrong, or show you I'm not worthless after all. So hopefully, ladies, you understand the difference between lip syncing, various levels of backtracking, and doing it live. Now, let's talk about how we got to where we are today in terms of why so many bands are doing it. I believe it all started with click tracks. A click track is basically like a clicky, poppy sound. Sometimes there's a tone to it, and it's just being broadcast into a musician's ears, and the whole point is just to help them stay on tempo. This is a click track. Typically, the drummer is going to have like a laptop next to them, and they're going to have the click tracks for all the songs that they're going to play during their set. And they're going to hit play, and then they're just going to play to the click track. They're going to be like... The drummer plays to the click track, and the band plays to the drummer. And it just makes sure that nobody's like speeding up the song when they're not supposed to. Like imagine there's this band and they accidentally sped up the song. They're still playing to each other, but it's way faster, and there's like a really fast guitar solo coming up, and all of a sudden the guitarist is like, oh my God! Or imagine there's like this breakdown coming, and the vocalist has to hold this really long scream, but the band slowed the song down, and he's like, oh! That's the point of the click track, is to make sure that everyone is just playing to this predetermined tempo. It's so important for bands to be in sync with each other and playing at the tempo they're supposed to be playing at, especially if you're in some crazy like technical band where everything just has to be so precise and tight. Now, there are bands out there with insanely phenomenal musicians who they don't need a click track and they can pull that off, and they're few and far between. They're amazing, but it's okay for live bands to use click tracks. There's nothing wrong with using a click track because the bands are still playing the music. You're still hearing them play live. The tempo is just being controlled. So then this guy comes along. Hey guys, we got this new song and everyone loves it because it is epic. They want to hear it live, but it has all these like orchestral elements, and it's got this like choir that comes in, and this like synth lead that comes in, and then like a thin layer of fog comes in around my ankles. Roadies, that means dry ice. We'll talk about that later. And we can't do it live because we don't have an orchestra. And orchestras are really expensive. We can't just pay an orchestra to come with us on tour and play this one song. Choirs, they're expensive too. And we don't have a DJ. How can we play this song live and still have all those elements? Because if we leave it out, it's going to sound very bland and fans are going to be so disappointed. Wait a second. We play to a click track. What if the drummer starts the song exactly when they need to start the song and all of us stay perfectly on time? We actually could take those elements from the studio track, put them on a separate track, and then play it through the PA system, and it'll all come in sync with us when it's supposed to, and it'll be awesome. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You're still 100% playing the guitar and the drums and the vocals. Everything's real. You just have these extra things happening to make the show better. You're not just 5 dudes on a stage now that are playing your music. There's this like whole experience happening, and I think that that's awesome. But you see, Stella Luna, this is where the slippery slope starts. Eventually, you have this bro that's like, come here. We got this song that everyone loves, and there's this crazy guitar solo in it. In the studio, I added like 3 harmony tracks underneath it. If we play it live and don't have those harmony tracks, it's not going to sound as good. The people are expecting those harmonies to come in. So what if we just throw those on the backing track? I'll still play the lead part live, but they'll also get to hear the harmonies and they won't be disappointed. But then the vocalist comes along. Hey, you guys talking about that new song? I got this great idea. There's this part in that song. It's at the breakdown, and I just go, but then like in the studio version, I also recorded this layer underneath it where I'm like, and then there's another layer under it that's like, and no offense, none of you guys can do vocals, so what if we just like throw those layers on the backing track and then it'll sound crazy live? And then the bassist was like, so listen guys, I was smoking a lot of weed lately. I didn't really learn the new song. I don't want to be the reason we don't play it live though, so what if we just like throw the bass track on the backing track? I know most of it, but I might hit a couple sour notes, but like if I turn my input volume down, who's gonna notice? I'm the bassist. No one cares about the bassist. We'll just do it this one time for this one song. The rest of it'll be live and we won't say anything. So then, get this. The rhythm guitarist quits the band because he doesn't want to be in a band that's faking their bass playing. He leaves. Everyone's freaking out. They're like, dude, what are we going to do? We got to find another guitarist. We have to replace him. And the lead guitarist is like, do we though? So then, hypothetical band, they go out there and they kill it. You got the lead guitarist just ripping his solo over 3 different versions of himself, all harmonizing with what he's playing live. The vocalist just comes out and does 3 different pitch screams at the same time. The bassist is just out there pretending to play bass over his backing track. The rhythm guitarist, they just have the track playing. No one even questioned it. And then later that night at the merch table, the fans are talking to them. They're just like, oh my God! Hey, you guys were so good. Mr. Guitarist, what is up with your tone? How do you guys sound that big as a 4-piece? How did you guys do that? And Mr. Guitarist, he's just like, it's on my pedal board, man. I'm running this Kiesel and it's going through my Kemper, which my pedal board runs into, of course, into a noise suppressor, into a bit crusher, and then an HM2, which goes into my loop pedal and throws the signal to the cab on the other side of the stage. All of that is also running through one of those whew pedals. You know what I'm talking about? And then the fans, they go up to the vocalist and they're like, you with the voice, come here. How did you do that? How did you do that? At one point in the set, it sounded like 3 voices came out of your mouth at the same time. I have never heard a human being make those noises before. How did you do it? What is your technique? Is it fry? You are special. The vocalist, he's just like, yeah, man, I just go out there and give 110%. Before I go on stage, I just like to do a couple shots of Jaeger, and then I drink a quart of milk, protect my vocal cords, even though when you swallow, the epiglottis covers over the vocal tract and all the milk goes down your esophagus and never touches your vocal cords. I do it to protect my vocal cords. I like to take a spoonful of honey as well. I just go out there and give 110%. I don't know if you've heard of Clarissa Ross. She's got this absolutely incredible... She's got this absolutely incredible spiritual power of screaming DVD. It really helped me learn how to get my fry screams under control. Be honest with me, YouTube land. Do you really think that after getting their dick sucked that hard, they're going to be honest about what happened on stage? Do you really think that after that ego stroke, they're going to tell the truth? Let me just preface this next point with another disclaimer. I got zero issues with Ronnie Radke. I got no problems with Ronnie Radke. I think a bunch of his music is awesome. Falling in Reverse has some bangers. Escape the Fate, when he was the frontman, bangers. I think he's a fantastic vocalist. I think he's a wonderful musician. I think he's a very, very talented songwriter. I got no beef. I don't want any beef with Ronnie Radke. I respect and admire him as a person. I love how he just doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care what anyone thinks of him, and I think that is so cool. He just says whatever's on his mind. He doesn't care. He doesn't pull any punches, and I just really admire that. If you remember, in 2022, the whole laptop thing with Falling in Reverse. If you don't remember, here's the too long, didn't read version. Falling in Reverse canceled a festival because someone in the crew or whatever left their laptops in the hotel room, and they were like, we can't play. A lot of people were like, what the fuck? You can't play? What a jerk thing to do. I get Ronnie's side, because if your set revolves around these huge orchestral moments and all these crazy electronic elements, and more importantly, if this is your brand, if you have been doing this for a while and people expect this of you, you can't just play the show without the laptops. The click tracks are on there. All of the backing tracks that contain the choirs or the 808s or whatever you're using to make your set as good as you can and make your fans happy they purchased the tickets. It's all on these laptops. The problem that I have is the quote. Ronnie said, as a band in 2022, you need your laptops. It's like driving a car without an engine. No, it's not. It's like driving a manual instead of an automatic. There are so many bands out there in 2022 and 2023 and probably persisting on until the end of time that aren't going to use backing tracks and rely on laptops. Tallah, do we use a laptop? Yeah, our DJ uses a laptop for his DJ shit. We don't use backing tracks. We're not on a click track. We're just not that type of band. That's just our choice. Do we think we're better than everyone else? No. Our DJ joined the band in 2020. We formed the band in 2018. We played for 2 years without a DJ and we sounded fine. And then we got our DJ and we're like, dude, we can do scratching live. You can do the 808s. You can push the button yourself. We don't have to use backing tracks. We don't have to use click tracks. We can continue being a raw band and you're in control. You can program the string section onto your MIDI keyboard and you can play the strings. He's a DJ and a keys player. He does all the electronic shit for us. And I get it. Not every band wants to have 6 members. So that's a lot of mouths to feed on tour. That's a lot of people to pay. But I'm just saying, not every band is using backing tracks and click tracks. And I'm sure we all know this. Just because you use backing tracks does not make you like a fake band. And the reason I decided to finally speak up about this is because I feel like I'm in a position to say it. I'm in a band that doesn't use click tracks and doesn't use backing tracks, but I still think it's okay to use them. You need to do whatever possible to deliver your audience the best quality live show. Stella! I don't care if bands want to use backing tracks. Do you care? She doesn't care either. As a fellow artist, I don't care. I really don't care. As a fan, I care a little bit. I know if I went to see one of my favorite bands and the vocals were backtracked to all hell, and the guitarist was basically miming the guitar solo, and the drums were triggers because the drummer can't hit hard when he plays fast, I'd be disappointed. I'd be like, I paid $60 to watch a bunch of guys pretend to play music. As a fan, I would be pissed. But as a fellow artist, I don't care. I don't look down on bands who use backing tracks. I don't think less of bands that want to give their audience what they think is their best performance. The problem! Come here. This is the most important part of the video. The problem that I have is when bands lie about using backing tracks. If you're a vocalist and you backtrack your vocals and then a fan comes up to you after your set and goes, "Oh my God, you're so amazing live. You sound just like the studio album. I'm just blown away." You don't get to say, "Thank you." You get to say, "That's because it wasn't really me. It was a backtrack." If you're gonna do it, own it. If you're a lead guitarist who backtracks his lead guitar, especially the solos, and a fan comes up to you and says, "Oh my God, your guitar playing was absolutely insane. You're my biggest inspiration. I want to play just as good as you someday." You don't get to say, "Thank you." You get to say, "That wasn't actually me playing. It was a backtrack." If you're gonna do it, own it! I'm just so sick of people lying to their fans. You have the money you have because of your fans. How dare you lie to their face and pretend that's you playing when it's not? If it's just orchestra in the background, if it's just synth stuff, if it's just 808s, who cares? But when you are backtracking your vocals or your guitar playing and you're trying to pass it off like that's actually your skill, that is so disrespectful to every musician that's not doing that. And it blows my goddamn mind how big of an ego you have to just lie about it. Now, before some of you hop into the comments and go, "Justin, you're such a hypocrite. You have a whole cover channel called Hungry Covers where you sing over the original song. The original vocalist is still in the background." Yeah, I do. The difference is I don't lie about that. When somebody asks me if I sing over the original song, I say yes. I'm singing over David Draymond's voice. I'm singing over Randy Blythe's voice. I'm singing over Chester Bennington's voice. I don't lie. I don't pretend that I'm not doing it. I also don't stay silent about it either. I've always been completely transparent about that. I don't lie about it. That is the problem that I have with a lot of these backtracking bands, is they either just bald-faced lie to their fans, or they don't say anything and they let their fans think that those are really their vocals, or they let them think that that's really their bass playing. And that's just as bad as lying. You just allow your fans to have this like misconception of your ability as a musician. And I don't know why a lot of these artists do it. I don't know if vocalists are doing it because they're scared they're gonna fuck up. I don't know if they just just have bad vocal health and they can't do a full tour without sounding like shit. I don't know if they just want tons and tons of layers to sound bigger. I just know that a lot of them lie about it. It's like the fake natty problem in the fitness industry. You have all these people who are clearly on steroids. And they're just like, yeah, if you want to get 50-inch arms like me, all you gotta do is body weight calisthenics. It's such an insult to the viewer's intelligence to think they probably believe this. And when a band just backtracks the fucking shit out of their set and then lies about it, you're just calling all of your fans fucking morons. You know what it reminds me of, Stella? It's the same thing as those girls on Instagram with like the unnaturally big butts. You know the ones I'm talking about? Like they have like it's disproportionate to the rest of their body. And they have like all these inspirational quotes where they're like, you can do anything you set your mind to. It's just hard work. No, it's not. Come here. I'll tell you what they do. They get kind of fat and then they fly to another country where they pay thousands of dollars to have a surgeon cosmetically remove the fat from all the undesirable areas, like the waist, and then they transplant it into the desirable areas, like the hips or like the butt. And then they make the Instagram account so there is no like reference. There's no before. It's just they started this account and they already have this ridiculous butt. They start trying to sell you these ideas. It's just hard work. All you gotta do is have a diet of chicken, broccoli, and rice, and then do 30 minutes on the Stairmaster and do split squats with a 25-pound dumbbell, and then do kickbacks with resistance bands. I can't stand it. The average person is gonna look at their butt and go, damn, how did they do that? I can't stand the lying. This is a real butt. Look at this. That is 7 years of going to the gym and eating until I felt like I was gonna throw up. I can squat almost 400 fucking pounds. The average person is gonna listen to these backing track bands and be like, whoa, they're so good. They're perfect live. They don't make any mistakes. They're so amazing. They sound just like the album. Because it is the album. It's fake. We live in a world where we are on social media all the time. We're constantly just on our phones, just mindlessly scrolling until we find something that kind of piques our interest and it inspires you. And you want to be like that too. So you start actually putting in the work and actually putting in the hours. And then you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, why don't I look like that? Or why don't I sound like that? Why can't I play guitar like that? Because it's not real. They're lying to you and it's gonna make you insecure and it's gonna make you unconfident and it's gonna make you depressed because you believe them. That's the reason I made this video. Again, I don't care if bands backtrack. I don't give a shit. Just be honest. Just be honest about it. This is where the root of the problem comes in. You don't care that these people are getting away with that. I have been a vocalist for 16 years. I have worked so hard on not being pitchy live, on perfecting my breath control and all of my screaming techniques. When I was younger, I used to embarrass the crap out of myself live. My mom would come to shows and she would film like my first band and I would watch them back and be like, I sound so bad. Why don't I sound like these other bands? And I would just practice and practice and practice. And I got pretty good in my opinion. But like when I see these other bands just faking it live and then lying about it, it just undermines everything that I did. All that work that I do. I will never be as good as them because I'm not lying. There was once where I had to perform over my own vocals as a backing track. It was 2019 at a Killer's Confessions album release show at the Odeon. I'm pretty sure you can look it up online. There's a song on that album called Satisfied, and I did a guest spot in that song. And the singer, Waylon, he was like, Justin, I would love for you to come on stage and perform that song with us tonight. And I was like, hell yeah, brother. Waylon, he was like, we're usually performing this song without you. And we just let your vocal part run, so it is backtracked, so you're gonna have to sing over yourself. And I was like, that's fine. I just want to go on stage and hang out with my boys. And he asked me if I wanted to use in-ears, and I was like, nah, I'm all set. I just use the monitors. I always just use the monitors. In-ears, they just like, I don't know, my ears get sweaty, and then they fall out, and I'm gonna step on them and break them. So I go on stage, and then my part comes up, and like, I didn't get to practice it, so all of a sudden, like, I hear recording Justin, like, take this inhale. It was so loud. I started like over projecting because I was like, I don't know if they can hear me or if they're hearing the backing track, and I don't want them to think that I'm like faking it. I just remember like I'm like trying to keep up with myself, and there was like all this weird pressure that's not normally there. I'm used to just performing and doing whatever I want, but I was like, I have to like be perfectly in sync with this pre-recorded track. It was like nerve-wracking, and I did not like it. I never want to do that again. That was so weird. Like 20, 30 years ago, if you backtrack live, people would be like, fuck that band. And that's where like Ronnie Radke isn't wrong, because in 2022, that is the industry standard. Bands are using laptops to just run their entire set. And again, if you're just using it for like orchestra stuff, or to play it perfectly on tempo, or like to have like choirs or like electronic elements, that's fine. But when you start faking your vocals and your guitar and your bass and your drums and whatever, when you are faking it and you're pretending and lying to your fans, I just don't like get it. When I was a kid, I took so much pride in listening to like punk music and hard rock music and metal music, because in my head I was like, this is real. They're not lip syncing. They're not faking their guitar solos. These are people that actually have talent and work hard. Now it's like, how do you know? Now I walk into a venue and I can't even like enjoy the music because I'm like, is the vocalist really doing that? Did the guitarist actually play that? You just don't know. Unless the band is not on a click track, you don't know. Because obviously if the band is not on a click track, you can't backtrack. It'd be impossible to time it. The second a band is on a click track, you just don't know. You have to be skeptical. You don't know. So anyway, long story short, I don't have a problem with bands that use backing tracks. I don't have a problem with people who take steroids. I don't have a problem with people who get BBLs. It's your body. You do whatever you want. It's your band. You do whatever you want. It's your career. It's your life. I don't care. I don't have a say. Just be honest about it. Own it. There's nothing wrong with doing those things. So just tell the truth. Stop taking advantage of your audience's trust. If you made it to the end of this video, God bless you and thank you for watching. If you enjoy the way that I rant and explain things, you might enjoy the new Hungry Vocals vocal course that I've uploaded to the $20 tier of my Patreon. I teach singing, I teach fry screaming, I teach false chord screaming, I teach vocal health, I teach you everything you need to be a decent vocalist, and I'm constantly adding more to it. Not everyone can afford one-on-one vocal lessons. Some people just have social anxiety and they can't take, a vocal lesson. This might be for you. It's a very affordable thing that you can do in private. And if you want to be a vocalist, or you have interest in vocals, or if you already are a vocalist and you just want to make sure you're doing something right, or even improve on your techniques, this might be something you're interested in, and it would obviously help me out quite a bit. And if you don't know how to get to my Hungry Lights Patreon, you can click on my link tree, which is linked in the description below. And last but not least, if you enjoyed the song that I was screaming over earlier in the video, don't you see it? You don't have restraint! That song was called Soot Locker. It's off a project of mine called Call It Ego. The album is called The New Elevator. I released it in 2021, and it needs so much more love than it has. Check it out on Spotify. Check it out on Bandcamp. Check it out on Apple Music. Wherever you listen to your music. Go check it out. It's very, very underrated, and that's kind of my fault. I just been really busy, and I haven't appropriately promoted it. I'll see you in the next one. I'm Justin. Signing off.